Hey everyone, in today's video, I'm going to be comparing, scoring, and ranking the AirPods Pro 2, Galaxy Buds Pro 2, Sennheiser Momentum 3, Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2, and the Sony WF-1000XM4s. Now, this is going to be a bit of an in-depth comparison because I'm going to be scoring each bud on the scale of 1 to 5 in a total of 14 different categories. The bud with the most points at the end wins. And I'll also finish the video with a final comparison so you know which bud will work the best for you. Now, starting with category 1, comfort. Keep in mind, this is going to be how the buds fit my ears, but I'll keep it as general as possible here. Coming in at last place, we have the XM4s. I'm giving them a 3 out of 5 because with their chunky design and pretty firm ear tips, they just don't feel that nice, at least in my ears. I start to get a bit of discomfort after about half an hour. Even when I use silicone ear tips, the comfort still isn't there for me. The Momentums, Buds Pro, and Quiet Comforts all get a solid 4 out of 5. Even though the Quiet Comforts are the largest bud out of the 5, they have a very light feel in my ear because I don't dig too deep with the ear tips oval design. This is the same with the Buds Pro. The Momentum 3 do have a deeper fit compared, but I find them super comfortable still. I personally don't mind a deeper fit in my ear canal. But the AirPods Pro get a solid 5 out of 5 with their unique ear tips that don't really feel like they're digging into your ear canal at all. For me, I can wear them for hours and get barely any discomfort. Next category is how secure the buds stay in your ear when you're doing stuff. Last place again, the XM4s with a 3 out of 5. The issue here is the buds easily move out of place due to their size and ergonomics. So I find I lose the seal easily, which affects the noise cancelling and the sound quality. It's not like they're gonna fall out of my ears, but I do find that losing the seal can be quite annoying. But keep in mind, a good mate of mine uses these when training and he has no issues at all. It is different for everyone. I'm giving the Momentums a 4 out of 5. They have nice grip and the wing tip really does help. In my weight training sessions though, I did find I had to readjust them every now and then. And when lying down for a bench press, for example, I do lose the seal a little bit, which affects the noise cancelling and sound quality. Similar to the XM4s, just not as bad. But this is still a nitpick. These are still my go-to training bud for reasons I will mention very shortly. Now the AirPods, Quiet Comforts, and Buds Pro all getting a solid 5 out of 5 here. These buds have the kind of fit where I can just leave them in and I'm barely having to readjust them in my weight training sessions when running, and I barely lose the seal as well. So when lying down for bench presses, leaning over for rows and stuff like that, the buds don't even lose the seal, which doesn't affect the noise cancelling or the sound quality. But the Quiet Comforts also have the advantage of the wingtip, which adds a little bit of extra security. Now, in terms of the IPX rating, I'm giving every bud a 4 out of 5 since they have an IPX4 water resistant rating, except for the Buds Pro, they have an IPX7 waterproof rating. So you could accidentally drop them in water and submerge them in water, where all the other buds, they're only fine against like rain, splashes, sweat, stuff like that. Now with battery life, here are all the advertised amounts that you are getting with noise cancelling on. The AirPods Pro and Momentum 3, I'm giving a 5 out of 5. So you're getting the best overall battery life on the AirPods Pro and the Momentum 3. The Buds Pro, not the best there, so a 3 out of 5. Bose and Sony getting a 4 out of 5. But there's no point just talking about battery life without comparing to the actual case size and design. Now both the Momentum and Quiet Comforts have the largest case, but I am going to give a 2 out of 5 to the Momentums due to their chunk, where the Quiet Comfort case is a lot thinner, so they get a 3 out of 5. The Buds Pro, I'm giving a 4 out of 5 since the total battery life isn't the best, but it is a very compact case. The XM4's also getting a 4 out of 5. Almost as thin as a Buds Pro, but with more total battery life, of course. And the AirPods Pro, an easy 5 out of 5 here. You get MagSafe charging. They're the only case here that are actually IPX4 splash resistant. It has speakers on the case. It's a solid case. It's the thinnest out of all the cases, and you're also getting the best total battery life. And I just want to mention all the cases have wireless charging, and they all utilize fast charging as well. Here's what you're getting on all the cases. So the AirPods Pro and the XM4 do have the fastest of the fast charging there. Next category is controls, and coming in at last place again, we have the XM4s. I'm giving them a 3 out of 5, mainly due to their lack of functionality. You can customize the controls in the app, but you're kind of limited to whatever they set in the app. So you would have to lose your noise cancelling controls to add volume controls. You can't have everything on the earbuds at once. Unlike the Momentums, I'm giving them a 4 out of 5 because you have complete customization of each individual touch control function in the app. So on both earbuds, you can control everything, including volume up and down. But on the AirPods and the Quiet Comforts, even though you don't get the best customization of control, you can actually control everything, including volume up and down, just on the one earbud. So if you use just the right earbud, and leave the other one in the case. You can control play, pause, skipping tracks, noise cancelling, and volume up and down. Since the AirPods have a swipe gesture to adjust the volume, so do the Quiet Comforts. It is slightly more intuitive on the AirPods. You get a nice beat feedback, which you don't get on the Quiet Comforts. The only function you don't get is voice assistant, but on both earbuds, you can adjust that in the app. Switch and noise cancelling controls for voice assistant. So with all this in mind, I'm giving the AirPods a 5 out of 5. The Quiet Comforts come super close, but I'm giving them a 4 out of 5. Since the swipe control isn't as intuitive, you don't get that beep feedback. And I did notice when kind of using the touch controls to tap on the earbud, it would kind of affect the noise cancelling and sound quality slightly due to the vibration it creates. Where the AirPods Pro obviously utilize Force Touch, I just find Force Touch a bit more intuitive. And finally, the Buds Pro, I'm giving a 4 out of 5 because you can jump in the app and add volume up and down on the left and right earbud. All you have to do is double tap the edge of the earbud or even double tap your actual ear, and it will increase volume on the right earbud and decrease volume on the left earbud. So very nice feature there, but you don't have the option to just use one earbud and increase and decrease volume. Next category is connectivity. So we're talking codecs, spatial audio, multi-device connection, all that good stuff. Now I'm giving every earbud a 4 out of 5 here, except for the Quiet Comforts. I'm giving them a 3 out of 5 because they just utilize SBC and AAC codecs. You don't get spatial audio. And a big issue here is that you can only use the right earbud individually while the left rests in the case. You can't use the left earbud while the right earbud is resting in the case. There are some videos showing some tricks to make this work, but in my testing, it doesn't work. Bose is saying they're gonna have a firmware update coming out soon, but at the time of this video, it's not there. Pretty disappointed to see that this isn't a feature where pretty much any earbud out there, you can utilize one earbud at a time. Now, in terms of spatial audio, the AirPods have it, of course, but the Buds Pro and XM4s have 360 audio. But on the XM4s, you can't turn 360 audio on at any time. It has to be linked with a certain app, where with the Buds Pro, you can just jump into the settings and turn that on at any time. But at least in my testing, it doesn't sound that great. The bass is reduced quite a bit. The sound, it becomes a bit wider, it becomes a bit tinny. Keep in mind, this is without using it with audio optimized for 360 audio or Dolby Atmos. Where on the AirPods, you can also turn spatial audio on at any time, and it actually sounds pretty good even when you use media not optimized for spatial audio. You can also customize the spatial audio with the depth sensor on the iPhone, so it'll take photos of your ears, and for me, it didn't actually make it sound better, it made it sound worse, but the option is there. So when it comes to spatial audio, the AirPods get the win, but they don't have the advantage of any high resolution codecs. So Sony have LDAC, that gives you 960 kilobytes per second. Buds Pro have 24-bit high-res audio, that'll give you 512 kilobytes per second. And the Momentums utilize the latest aptX adaptive with 24-bit high-res audio as well, but that only goes as high as 420 kilobytes per second. Now you might be wondering what this means. Basically, like compared to iPhone, they utilize AAC with a max of 256 kilobytes per second. So numbers-wise, comparing LDAC to AAC, it's a massive difference. But in my testing experience with most earbuds, comparing LDAC to AAC, you're gonna get about a 10% improvement in overall sound quality. So bass can sound fuller, you get a bit more detail, but it's not like 3 times as good. So these features, I guess, are very specific to a certain group of people. They're there if you need, but AAC still sounds really good. Now, when it comes to multi-device connection, of course, the AirPods and the Buds Pro, if you use Apple products or Samsung products, seamlessly switch between devices, but it's only on the Momentum with their latest update that have true multi-device connection. So basically, you can have them connected to 2 devices at the same time. It doesn't matter what the devices are. I have mine connected to my iPhone 12 Pro and my MacBook Pro. All you need to do is pause playback on one device before you resume playback on the other device, and it works great. It's a pretty rare feature to see in the true wireless earbud world, and they're the only earbud here today that have it. Next category is app support. I'm giving the AirPods a 3 out of 5. The rest of the buds get a 4 out of 5, but the XM4s get a 5 out of 5 because the customization is really impressive on them. Because they just have the most features and customization in the app. They easily have the best EQ, great freedom and customization there. I'll talk about that later. You have some sound quality settings in there. You also get speak to chat, which can automatically turn on your transparency mode and turn off noise cancelling and bring your music volume down when you start talking to someone. So quite easy if you don't want to adjust the controls on your earbud. And finally, the biggest standout feature is the adaptive sound control, which you can set to automatically switch between noise cancelling, transparency mode, even dependent on if you're walking or running somewhere or to specific locations you generally visit. I personally don't use it, but it's quite a handy feature if you are looking for it. Momentums also have this feature. They call it sound zones, but it's only based on location, doesn't work as intuitively as the XM4s. The Momentums do have the best freedom of customization with their controls, as I mentioned. Their EQ customization isn't the best, but you can save some presets in there, which is nice. But they do have a sneaky sound feature in the app, which I will talk about shortly. The Buds Pro also utilize speak to chat. They call it voice detect. It works just as well as the XM4s, but they don't have any EQ customization, just some presets in there, but they do have a Find My Buds feature based on location. It works quite well, but it's definitely not on the level of the AirPods Find My Buds. It'll pinpoint basically exactly where your case might be lost. Very handy feature to have. But apart from that, you can only turn certain features on and off in the app, and you get no EQ presets or customization. The Bose app does allow for EQ customization. You can't save any presets though, which you can of course on the Momentums and the XM4s. But the Quiet Comforts are the only bud that actually allows you to control the strength of the noise cancelling in the app, and you can save some presets of the noise cancelling settings on the Quiet Comforts. The Quiet Comforts are the only bud though where you can't turn noise cancelling off, but a little workaround is you can just turn the noise cancelling to the middle setting, which will kind of mimic having noise cancelling off. All right, now to the call quality. I tested this outdoors. It was a slight windy day on a motorway, so a lot of background noise. I'm ranking the Bose at last place, 2 out of 5. They don't sound very good. The XM4s, I'm giving a 3 out of 5. The AirPods and Buds Pro are 4 out of 5. And the Momentum 3 get a solid 5 out of 5. They sound very crisp, very clear, but here are all the samples so you can hear. All right, so here we are in the outside world with my iPhone microphone so you can get an idea of the noise going on around me right now. All right, so here's a microphone sample of the Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds 2 on this nice busy motorway here right now. All right, so here we are with the Sony WF-1000 XM4s on this nice busy motorway here right now. All right, so here we are with the Galaxy Buds Pro 2. It's a little bit windy as well right now, but hopefully you can still hear my voice quite well. All right, so here's a microphone sample with the AirPods Pro 2 on this nice busy motorway here right now. All right, so here we are with the Sennheiser Momentum True Wireless 3 on this nice busy motorway here right now. All right, now let's talk about the noise cancelling performance. I tested this in both a simulated environment with plain noise and crowd noise on my soundbar, and I also tested all the earbuds at my local gym. Also do keep in mind, this is how the noise cancelling performance works for me in my ear canals, because fit heavily affects how the noise cancelling performance actually works. But in last place, we have the Momentum 3 and Buds Pro with a 3 out of 5, then Sony and AirPods with a 4 out of 5. But the AirPods Pro may be slightly better, it's super close there. But the Bose Quiet Comforts get a solid 5 out of 5. They're just in their own league of noise cancelling in terms of blocking out consistent low frequency sounds, even consistent high frequency sounds like a fan, voices, chat up, any high frequencies. It just does a ridiculous job. Really nice stuff from the Bose. And like I said, the only bud where you can adjust the noise cancelling strength in the app. But the Momentum 3 and Buds Pro, even though I'm giving them a 3 out of 5, they actually come really close to all the other earbuds. They still have very good noise cancelling. Now with the transparency mode, in last place, we got the XM4s and Momentum 3s with a 3 out of 5 each. They're still pretty decent, just not the most natural and a little bit hard to hear conversations when I was in a more noisy environment like the gym. Quiet Comfort and Buds Pro, I'm giving a 4 out of 5. The Buds Pro did come across more natural, where the Quiet Comforts were a little bit more amplified, but this means I could hear things a little bit easier, even though they did have quite a bit of white noise to them. And the Quiet Comforts do have their adaptive sense transparency mode. So basically, if it hears loud sounds, it'll bring the transparency volume down. In my experience, if I'm sneezing or if I'm in the gym and some weights are clanging around, it would pretty consistently bring the volume down and it'll kind of dip down and come back up. It sounded a little bit weird. With the AirPods have this same feature, but it's very natural. You don't even notice the volume being brought down. And they come across the most natural, easily the best transparency mode, solid 5 out of 5 on the AirPods Pro. Next category is volume and loud listening. Keep in mind, all the earbuds easily go loud enough. You probably don't have to go above 85% on any of the earbuds here. But the question is, do they still sound good at these high volumes? The XM4s, not really. I'm giving them a 3 out of 5 because when you start to venture above about 70% volume, the mids and the mid bass is increased while treble and sub bass doesn't really increase. So it just sounds not terrible at the high volumes, but it just sounds different their original tuning. And keep in mind, all buds have to do this to a certain degree to reduce harshness of treble and distortion in the bass. The rest of the earbuds do it a little bit, but it's just super obvious on the XM4s. So the AirPods, Buds Pro, and Quiet Comforts, I'm giving them a 4 out of 5. But the Momentum 3s, I'm giving a 5 out of 5. They just seem to kind of sound even better when you start venturing at those higher volumes above 70%. And they also have that sneaky feature that I haven't mentioned yet, but I will in a sec. But now onto the sound quality itself. I'm breaking this down into two sections. balanced and dynamic sound. So basically how the buds score with a more clean and balanced sound or a more over-the-top bass heavy sound. Starting with balanced, I'm giving the AirPods Pro and the Buds Pro a 5 out of 5. Both earbuds easily have the best clean natural sound without having to EQ them. The Buds Pro do have a slightly brighter sound, so a bit of extra treble and slightly more bass than the AirPods. This extra treble does give a little bit more sparkle and detail with instrumentation, slightly better instrument separation as well. But I did find with hi-hats and crashes on certain songs, they did sound a little bit too forward and over the top. And with songs that aren't mastered as well, the treble can get slightly harsh, where the AirPods Pro, the treble rarely gets harsh, and it's a little bit more laid back with its tuning. Still excellent detail with the treble, just a different experience. Depends if you like a more laid back treble response or that brighter treble response on the Buds Pro. You really can't go wrong with either pair when it comes to a balanced tuning. Next, I'm giving the XM4s a 4 out of 5. Out of the box, they don't really sound too special. They are a warmer tuning, but since that EQ gives you so much freedom, you can just kind of increase the treble a bit, the upper mid-range, and now you're starting to get close to the quality in terms of a balanced tuning to the AirPods and the Buds Pro. And the Momentums and Quiet Comforts, I'm giving a 3 out of 5. The Momentums do have a more V-shaped tuning with a decent boosting in the mid bass and the treble. So excellent sparkle with the treble, but the mids are slightly recessed, so some instrumentation and vocals can fall behind in the mix ever so slightly, where the Quiet Comforts have more boosting in the sub bass, not as much in the mid bass. The mids are pushed forward quite a bit, but the treble is slightly lacking. But again, you can EQ both buds in the app, bring them to a bit more balanced of a tuning, but not quite to the level and freedom that you get on the XM4s. And I do want to quickly mention here, only the Bose Quiet Comforts and the AirPods Pro have an adaptive EQ, which will adjust the sound quality dependent on how the buds fit in your ears. Now onto the category of how dynamic the buds can get. And I'm giving the AirPods and the Buds Pro a 3 out of 5. The Buds Pro can push out a decent amount of bass when you play around with the EQ presets. The bass boost gets a little bit too boomy, but you have a soft setting in there, which brings the bass up, slightly increases the treble, and it doesn't sound too over the top. But having a band EQ would have been nice there. The AirPods, of course, don't have an EQ, but they do have spatial audio, which at least for my ears kind of increases the bass slightly, but gives it a more full, open sound. And with the right song, it works really well, but it does create a slight echo effect for certain songs. So some songs sound good, other songs not so good, but a nice feature to have there for a bit of customization in the sound. Now the Quiet Comforts and XM4s, I'm giving a 4 out of 5. The XM4s, with their great freedom in the EQ, you can push out quite a bit of bass, but when you want to make these a more bass heavy tuning, again, when you venture above even 65% volume, that bass starts to get brought down quite a bit. So great at lower volumes, not great at high volumes. Where with the Quiet Comforts, you can also jump into the app, play around with the EQ, get some pretty over the top bass, and it will retain most of that at those high volumes. But I find with the Quiet Comforts, still sound really solid. They're a bass heavy tuning with no EQ. I did find just increasing the treble a little bit makes them sound a lot better. But I'm giving the Momentum 3 a solid 5 out of 5. When I first reviewed these buds, I said they had the best bass to clarity ratio, and they still easily hold that title today. I think they still sound the best with no EQ customization. It's a nice bass heavy tuning. That mid bass adds a nice full rich sound to all different bass frequencies, even though the mids are slightly recessed. The treble is really nice, rarely gets too harsh. It's just a fun earbud to listen to. And if you're more of like an audiophile, you probably won't like them too much, but I just like, if it sounds good to me, then it sounds good. So everyone has different tastes. But the sneaky feature I mentioned throughout the video that gives them that 5 out of 5 score is their special EQ, the bass boost EQ. And simply by chucking on that EQ setting, it takes these buds to bass levels that no earbud I've ever tested has quite been able to match. It's mainly just boosting the mid bass, a bit of the sub bass, but you still actually retain a decent amount of treble and clarity. Keep in mind, this is a pretty boomy over-the-top bass experience that only really works with electronic music, so trap, dubstep, especially hardstyle. This sounds perfect. Rock and metal, it's a little bit over the top, but with the right song, it sounds pretty good, but for your instrumentation, it doesn't really work that well. Keep that in mind. And that leads into why these are still my go-to training bud. When I need a little bit of extra motivation, I chuck that bass boost EQ on, some pretty intense music, and it really does get me going. All right, so that wraps up every section. The final scores are in, so let's see which bud comes out on top. In last place with a score of 51, we have the WF-1000 XM4s. Fourth place with 53 points, the Bose Quiet Comfort Earbuds. Third place, 55 points, Sennheiser Momentum 3. Second place, 56 points, Samsung Galaxy Buds Pro 2. And in first place with 61 points, the AirPods Pro 2. So there you go. Here's a quick little snapshot of all the scoring if you want to screenshot it. But you know what? At the end of the day, the scoring doesn't really matter. It's not really going to affect too much of which bud you go for. It was a bit of fun, so let's talk about what bud will actually work the best for you now. So the XM4s have the best EQ customization, the high-res LDAC codec, and great app support as well. It is just a fit that is the biggest letdown, but again, it might work well for you. Quite comfy earbuds, great comfort, great security, bass heavy tuning, but easily the best noise cancelling if that's what you're looking for. The biggest letdown with them is the single earbud use. Hopefully it gets fixed, but that's the only real issue. The Momentum 3, also great comfort, great security, but it's the sound versatility that is gonna be the best if you like your bass heavy tuning as well. And the biggest one there, also the multi-point connection. Only real issue is the super chunky case. That's about it. And if you're in the Samsung ecosystem, you really can't go wrong with the Buds Pro. Even if you aren't, they're still a solid bud. They have a great balanced sound, secure, comfortable fit. It's a total battery life. It's the only real small issue. And the same with the AirPods Pro. If you're in the Apple ecosystem, you can't go wrong. And you can tell by the scoring, they're a pretty hard bud to fault. Balanced sound, great comfort and security, solid noise canceling, best transparency, smallest case, best battery life. You can tell by the scoring why they're in the #1 spot. Personally, for me, I use the Momentum 3, obviously when training the most. If I want that nice bass heavy tuning, and the AirPods Pro 2, I may go to for watching videos, or if I go for a walk, or if I'm on calls. Again, I'm in the Apple ecosystem, so I use them quite a bit as well. But honestly, all pairs here are solid. Whichever pair you go for, you're gonna be having a good time. Hopefully this video helped. Let me know in the comments what you are using or what you decide you're gonna get. But thanks for tuning in. That wraps it up. If you like this video, I'm gonna leave you my Sound Pizza ranked video where I compared like 20 earbuds in the one video and I ranked them all. So check that out. In the meantime, stay picky. I'll see you in the next video. Bye now.